The news out of Philadelphia hit hard and fast, but it was not surprising to anyone who followed the Eagles closely throughout the season. After the playoff loss and the frustration that had been building for months, the organization finally made a move that many felt was inevitable. The decision to change the offensive coordinator position marked a turning point, not only for the coaching staff, but for the direction of the franchise heading into the next year. It was a moment that carried weight because it represented accountability at the highest level and an acknowledgement that the offense never reached the standard expected from a roster loaded with talent. The head coach addressed the change directly, taking responsibility for the shortcomings and making it clear that the decision was not personal. Even though there was a strong professional and personal relationship involved, that part of the message mattered because it showed how difficult the move was internally. Still, in a league driven by results, emotion can never outweigh performance. The Eagles invested heavily in the offensive side of the ball, and when the season ended, the production simply did not match the expectations. Falling short of the ultimate goals forced the organization to look in the mirror and accept that something had to change. What made this situation even more telling was the reaction from inside the locker room. Players were given the chance to publicly support continuity, and while there were voices backing the former coordinator, the most important figure remained cautious. When the leader of the franchise avoids fully endorsing the status quo, it speaks volumes. In moments like these, silence can be as loud as words. It underscored that, deep down, there was an understanding that the offense lacked rhythm, identity, and consistency throughout the year. From a broader perspective, this move was about missed opportunity. The Eagles had a defense capable of competing with anyone, and the conference landscape was wide open. All that was required was a competent, reliable offense that could complement the defense and avoid putting it in constant pressure situations. Instead, the unit struggled repeatedly against top competition. In the most important games of the season, scoring was a chore, not a strength. That reality alone made change unavoidable. The numbers tell a story that is difficult to defend against playoff-level opponents. The offense repeatedly stalled, failing to reach even modest scoring thresholds. For an organization that prides itself on innovation and aggression, those performances were unacceptable. Ownership and management could not ignore the disconnect between financial investment and on-field results. When so many resources are poured into one side of the ball, mediocrity is not tolerated. One of the biggest issues throughout the season was the lack of feel in play calling. Successful coordinators have an instinctive sense of timing, understanding when to push the tempo, when to slow things down, and how to set up plays that build on each other. That sense was missing. Early scripts sometimes showed creativity, but once defenses adjusted, the offense struggled to respond. Adjustments were slow or non-existent, and as games progressed, production declined instead of improving. This was especially evident after halftime. Opponents consistently came out with answers, while the Eagles' offense looked stuck, unable to counter new defensive looks. Scoring in second halves became a recurring problem, turning close games into uphill battles. When an offense cannot adapt on the fly, it puts immense strain on the entire team. Over time, that strain becomes visible, both on the scoreboard and in body language. By the end of the season, the identity of the offense was unclear. With so much star power, the unit should have imposed its will. Yet it often looked predictable and conservative. There was no defining characteristic, no reliable foundation to fall back on in critical moments. Hoping to suddenly flip a switch in the playoffs proved unrealistic, especially without a clear offensive core established during the regular season. Responsibility does not fall on one individual alone, and that was acknowledged internally. The head coach played a role in promoting and standing by his choice, even as warning signs became impossible to ignore. That loyalty, while admirable on a personal level, ultimately hurt the team. Still, it is important to recognize that the overall offensive system has worked in the past when paired with the right play caller. The scheme itself is not fundamentally broken. Execution and direction were the real issues. History supports that view. With proven coordinators in place, the Eagles' offense has reached elite levels, including deep postseason runs and championship success. That context matters because it shows that the solution is not a complete overhaul, but rather finding the right leader to maximize existing talent. When the play caller understands how to use the pieces available, the results can be explosive and efficient. Looking ahead, the frustration of the recent season should not overshadow the potential of the roster. Even in a year widely viewed as disappointing, individual production remains strong. The quarterback continued his streak of high touchdown output. The running game still delivered solid numbers, and the receiving corps produced at a high level. Those facts point to a group that is far from broken, even if the overall results failed to meet expectations. The challenge now is continuity, particularly for the quarterback. Once again, he will be asked to learn a new system, new terminology, and a new voice in his ear. Over the course of his career, constant coordinator changes have been the norm rather than the exception. That lack of stability is rarely discussed enough when evaluating performance. Yet it plays a significant role in consistency and development. Adapting year after year is not easy, even for the most talented players. Despite all of this, the Eagles remain an attractive destination for offensive minds around the league. Few teams can offer this level of talent, resources, and opportunity for a coordinator looking to prove himself or revive a reputation. This situation presents a chance to step into a ready-made foundation. The potential is obvious, and with the right guidance, the offense can quickly return to being one of the most dangerous units in the league. The decision to move on was not about assigning blame for the sake of it, but about resetting expectations and standards. Philadelphia is not a franchise that settles for being average, especially when the window to compete is wide open. This change signals that the organization understands the urgency of the moment and is willing to act decisively to correct course as the organization turns the page. The search for a new offensive coordinator becomes one of the most critical decisions of the offseason. This hire will shape not only the scheme but also the confidence and rhythm of the entire offense. The Eagles cannot afford another experiment or a learning-on-the-job situation with a roster built to win now. The next coordinator must arrive with a clear vision, a strong feel for play sequencing, and the ability to adjust within games when defenses inevitably respond. There is also a philosophical element at play. In recent seasons, the offense leaned heavily toward caution, often choosing simplicity over creativity, while there is value in efficiency and clarity. The modern game demands adaptability and aggression. The league has evolved, and offenses that thrive are those that constantly stress defenses with motion, misdirection, and layered concepts. Philadelphia has the personnel to do this, but the approach must change to unlock that potential. The quarterback sits at the center of this discussion. His skill set is unique, blending physical toughness, leadership, and the ability to make plays both inside and outside the pocket. However, for him to operate at his highest level, the system around him must provide answers. That means defined reads, opportunities for explosive plays, and a structure that allows him to anticipate rather than hesitate. Too often last season, the offense felt reactive instead of proactive. What makes this moment so delicate is the balance between comfort and growth. The quarterback has previously expressed a preference for keeping things straightforward, especially in high-pressure situations. Yet, the most successful offenses in the league often thrive on complexity that looks simple only because it is executed well. Finding a coordinator who can bridge that gap, someone who can introduce advanced concepts without overwhelming the players, will be essential. The supporting cast on offense reinforces why this job is so appealing. The running back room remains productive, capable of controlling tempo and punishing defenses that overcommit to stopping the pass. The wide receivers provide a rare combination of physicality and route running precision, allowing for both contested catches and separation downfield. The tight end position has evolved into a true weapon, capable of exploiting mismatches and thriving in the red zone. All of these elements form a foundation that many coordinators would dream of inheriting. Another layer to consider is the organizational expectation. This is not a patient rebuild or a developmental phase. The Eagles expect immediate results, and the pressure that comes with this role is significant. Every play call will be scrutinized, especially after a season where offensive struggles became the dominant storyline. The next coordinator must be comfortable operating under that microscope and confident enough to trust his instincts. At the same time, the head coach will need to show flexibility. Collaboration will be key, as the offense cannot afford internal resistance to new ideas. In the past, success came when the staff fully committed to a shared vision. That level of alignment must return. The best outcomes occur when the head coach empowers his coordinator, allowing creativity to flourish within the broader framework of the team's identity. The numbers from last season continue to linger as a reminder of what went wrong. Rankings near the bottom of the league in key offensive categories are unacceptable for a team with championship aspiration. Those statistics were not the result of a lack of talent, but of missed opportunities and ineffective execution. Fixing that requires more than surface-level tweaks. It demands a coordinator who understands how to maximize strengths and mask weaknesses. There were flashes of what this offense could be. Moments where creative designs and clever concepts briefly surfaced. Those glimpses only made the inconsistencies more frustrating. When an offense shows potential but fails to sustain it, the issue often lies in leadership and planning rather than ability. That reality reinforces why this change was necessary, and why the next step is so crucial. Looking toward the future, there is reason for cautious optimism. The core of the offense remains intact, and the window to compete is still open. The challenge will be transforming raw potential into consistent production. That transformation starts with identity. The Eagles must define what they want to be on offense and commit to it fully. Rather than drifting week to week without a clear direction, continuity will be a concern. Especially given the history of coordinator turnover, learning yet another system adds complexity. But it also presents an opportunity for a fresh start if the right coordinator is chosen. This transition could stabilize the offense rather than disrupt it. Stability is not just about keeping the same faces, but about establishing principles that endure beyond individual seasons. Round the league, teams that succeed offensively often share common traits. They dictate matchups, they attack weaknesses relentlessly, and they remain unpredictable without being reckless. Philadelphia has the personnel to adopt that mindset. What has been missing is the consistent application of those principles on a weekly basis. The next coordinator must bring that discipline and creativity together. This offseason will reveal how serious the organization is about reclaiming its offensive edge. Every decision, from scheme to staffing, will signal the direction moving forward. The fan base expects more than promises. It expects tangible improvement on the field, with the right leadership in place. There is no reason this offense cannot return to being a driving force rather than a liability. The disappointment of the previous season still hangs in the air, but it also fuels motivation. Players understand what is at stake, and the margin for error has narrowed. The path forward is clear, even if the execution remains uncertain. The Eagles stand at a crossroads, with the chance to redefine themselves offensively and reestablish the standard that once made them one of the most feared teams in the league. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy, share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Rumors have started swirling around the NFL after comments from veteran broadcaster Joe Buck reportedly took aim at the Philadelphia Eagles. Sources suggest that Buck, known for his no-nonsense commentary and decades-long career calling some of the biggest games in sports, may have expressed skepticism about the team's strategy and performance in ways that have already ignited debates among fans and analysts alike. While the exact context of Buck's remarks is unclear, insiders claim his words hinted at concerns over the Eagles' consistency on both sides of the ball, leaving fans questioning whether the broadcast veteran sees cracks in what has been a largely respected franchise. Social media has erupted following the rumors, with some supporters defending the team and others speculating that Buck might be highlighting a larger trend that has flown under the radar this season. Analysts are weighing in, suggesting that Buck's critique, if accurate, could signal potential pressure on the coaching staff to make adjustments before the playoffs intensify. A few league insiders even hint that this type of commentary could influence public perception and affect locker room morale. Though the Eagles organization has yet to respond to the chatter, historically, Buck has rarely held back when discussing high-profile teams, and some believe this could be another example of his candid approach to the sport. Others argue that his comments might have been misinterpreted or taken out of context, sparking speculation that has grown larger than the original statement. Whatever the truth, the rumor mill is alive, and the Eagles faithful are bracing for waves of analysis, hot takes, and endless debate over whether Buck's words reflect a genuine critique or are simply part of his broadcast style. While no official confirmation has been offered, insiders suggest the situation will continue to unfold in the coming weeks, potentially adding tension to a season already filled with high expectations. For now, fans are left to speculate. Is this a fair critique from one of the sport's most prominent voices, or just another headline to stir the conversation around Philadelphia's star-studded roster? Either way, the buzz around Buck's comments has become a story in its own right, proving that sometimes the talk off the field can be just as charged as the action on it. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.